What is going on, guys? Finally back here with another card game video update. So with some of the other videos that I have on this channel, that specific card game or card games have been pushed into basically the trash. For what you guys see on screen here, this game still doesn't have an exact name yet, but I do have 4 decks built. We're gonna go over 2 decks right now, and then we're gonna do a battle between those 2 decks. The deck you guys see on screen right now, which I believe is, at least from play testing between myself and myself, um, is this deck seems to be the most overpowered deck, and it's mostly due to the leader here. The when this card attacks, add 1 mana to your mana zone, as well as mana surge. So this specific card right here, I'm already gonna put a Retta to it, and that's to any mana surge because every color has their own version of mana surge. But 2 of the decks don't have that specific mana surge in their starter decks yet. But I'm going to errata this a little bit and make the stipulation to where only 1 mana surge can be activated per turn, because if you get 2 of these in your hand, it powers, not necessarily powers up, but it excels the deck so much that this leader doesn't even need to go into its enraged mode, which I will go over a little bit later. I'll flip the card to show you where it has an enraged mode of the card. But basically, this card doesn't need to go into enraged mode to even win the game, pretty much, because it just mass swarms the field for everything. So that is why I'm putting an Areta on this card right away when we go into the gameplay part of the 2 decks. Today we're going to be featuring yellow versus white. But let's go over this deck a little bit. So first off, we have the leader here, Thunder DD Akuma Raijin. The number at the top for the leader in this specific instance is how much life you get in your life zone. And then so it's 8, so you get 8 life in your life zone for this card. And how you do that is, so you'll shuffle your deck, you'll draw 5 cards, you can put any number of cards back or your whole hand back, and before you shuffle your deck, draw however many cards you put back, then shuffle your deck, and then you take 8 cards from the top of your deck and then place it in your life zone. And that is how you get your life for the game. This leader has an ability where when this card attacks, add 1 mana to your life zone. And for the enraged stipulation, we need to lose 3 life cards in a single turn, meaning your opponent can use to attack you directly 3 times. In order for you to be able to flip into enraged mode. And then the enraged mode is the creature gains double strike, which deals 2 life to the opponent's life zone on attack. One thing I'm also implementing into this specific version of the game is whenever your leader attacks, you get to check the top card of your deck, kind of like a drive check from Cardfight Vanguard. And on the normal side, you only get 1 drive check, but on the enraged side, you get 2 drive checks. I'm not going to call it drive checks anymore, but I'm going to call it more of like an attack check. So you check the top 2 cards of your deck, and then those 2 cards go to your hand. The cards that get checked from your life zone go to your trash or discard pile, whatever I decide to go with on that name. I haven't figured out a name. But those cards go to your discard pile, which is what I'll call it for now. And then for effects with triggers like Thunderous Strike here, those can be activated either during an attack check or being checked from the life zone. Then we move on. We get 4 copies of Stormfront Raider, which is a 2-drop. So the numbers at the top for the rest of the deck is how much mana you need to be able to summon these cards. This is a no effect 2-drop 10,000 power. Next card is Thunderclap Guardian. When summoned, deal 5,000 damage to an enemy creature. This is a 3-drop 15,000 power. So to go over the effect a little bit, damage is consistent on all cards in here, meaning if you got a card with, say, 5,000 power and then you summon Thunderclap Guardian, that card, if you choose that card, or even let's say that's the only card on the field, for instance, so that your enemy has a 5,000 power creature on the field, you summon Thunderclap Guardian, you automatically have to choose that creature because that's the only creature on the field. So since that creature has 5,000 and it loses 5,000, once that 5,000 goes to 0, that creature is then destroyed. So then it goes to your opponent's discard pile. So that is what I mean by damage is consistent. With this, because it says enemy creature, you can't choose your enemy leader because there are some effects that eventually there will be some effects that you can target the leader with, or if it doesn't say creature, it means you can target the leader. Next we have Blazing Tempest Worm, which when attacking deal 5,000 damage to all enemy creatures. This one technically is supposed to be all enemy creatures and leaders, so that includes the leader in this specific instance. But it's a 5-drop, 25,000 power. We get 3 copies of those. Next card on the list is another vanilla card, Lightning Avatar Kira. It's a 4-drop, 2,000 or 20,000 points, 20,000 attack, I should say, or 20,000 power. Next card on the list is Storm Herald Zin. He's got an effect is destroying enemy creature with 20,000 power or less when summoned. So anything of 20,000 power or lower will, depending on what you choose, will get destroyed, or in this case, retired. Well, in the card effect, it's destroyed, but in the actual game term, it's retired. It's a 6-drop, 30,000 power. Next card on the list is 4 of Overcharge Elemental. When summoned, add 1 additional mana. When summoned, basically, it's a 2-drop, 5,000 power. So it gives you an extra mana when summoned. And then our last creature of the deck is a Skybolt Knight. It's another vanilla card, but instead of being a 2-drop, it is a 3-drop, 10,000 power. We get 4 copies of that. And here we're going to talk a little bit about the mana surge a little bit. As I said, I'm already a Reddit just for this video and onwards. For alpha testing, I do want to errata this a little bit to where only 1 mana surge, no matter what color it will be, can be activated once per turn. We get 4 copies of that. We get 4 copies of Thunderous Strike. Deal 15,000 damage to an enemy creature. Again, if it's a 15,000 power creature and it drops down to 0 because of this effect, it gets destroyed or retired. This card has a trigger effect, which is activate this effect for free, meaning if it's checked via from taking a life hit or checking for an attack check, you can activate this card for free. Now, if a trigger is activated during an attack check, instead of that card going to your hand like it normally would, it then actually goes into the discard pile. And we get 4 copies of that. Next, we get 3 copies of Charged Barrier. This one deals 10,000 damage to all enemy creatures. We get 3 copies, and that is a 4-drop energy card or mana. And then next on the list, we get 4 Static Overcharge, draw 2 cards, just a basic draw card effect. It's a 3-drop, gives you 2 cards. Next, we get 3 Sky's Wrath, another trigger card. Destroy all creatures on the battlefield. That includes your own creatures. This is kind of like a board reset if you need it in a way. And then the trigger effect is destroy one enemy creature when revealed. Again, trigger effects can happen one of two ways: life check or when your leader attacks for the attack check. Next on the list, we got Raging Stormfront. Your creatures gain 10,000 power this turn. Now, this is technically also is supposed to include the leader, but when I was making the effects, I wasn't thinking about that specifically when I was making the effects, but this technically includes the leader. Like when I go to this one does not include the leader, but this one technically includes the leader. Where was I at? So again, for the Raging Stormfront, this is meaning that it includes your leader. So like if you use this, it gives your entire attacking creatures plus 10,000 power, or all the creatures on the field basically 10,000 power. And then the last card in the deck, you get it 4 of, is Bolt Infusion. Add 5,000 power to a creature this turn. Now it's supposed to say to one of your creatures. Again, I have a lot of typos in some of these, but it's supposed to be add 5,000 power to one of your creatures this turn. It's a 1-drop, add 5,000 power. Now, a little thing I wanted to go over before I go over the white deck is all images on all the cards are AI generated, because I am using an AI to help with generating artwork for the cards. Otherwise, a lot of these cards would have no image written where the image would go, or sample where the image would go. So and I kind of wanted all the cards to have images, so I used AI with a description of what I wanted the card to look like, and it gave me images based on those descriptions. So we are using those images. I might continue that on into the actual final version of the card game when it gets released. Otherwise, I'm going to use these artworks that the description gave me, and I'm going to basically somehow, some way do handmade drawings of these specific cards to make it look more homemade / professional at the same time. Because the images are, in my opinion, too professional, but I might still keep the AI generated images over actually hand drawing effects, because I'd rather design the card faces, which is like the whole card in front of the picture basically, and the card backs, instead of worrying about the card art. So overall I would rather worry about card face, card back, effects and power, and how much cost the card is and the name of the cards, than to sit here, because I am an artist. Don't get me wrong, I am an artist, but I would rather worry about those other things than the artwork for the time being, because coming up with effects, names, power, cost, all that takes up more time, in my opinion, and brain thought than drawing a picture based off of a description. But that's just me. And then when it comes to the energy card, we get 10 energy cards. This is just a basic crystal image for energy right now. This is not going to be what the actual card looks like. Again, this isn't the final version of the card faces either. This is just something that I came up with, and then to tell the difference between the spell and creature cards. Creature cards have the picture up top, while the spells have the pictures down at the bottom. All right, anyways, that's enough of me ranting a little bit about this. So let's get on to the white deck. All right, here we are with the white deck of the game. So first off, we're going to start with our leader card, which is called Radiant Savior Hikari Angelica. Again, the number at the top represents how many life cards you get. She starts with 10. Leader cards can have anywhere between 6 and 10 life, at least in this rendition of the card game. Her ability is once per turn, you may pay 1 mana to heal 1 life card. So one thing that I want to go over with this deck is you have a max limit of 10 for your health for this card. So meaning if you have 9 cards and then you get a card that heals 2 life, you can only heal 1 life because you cannot go above whatever your leader is. So that's one thing that I wanted to get out of the way as quickly as possible, is just to mention that, meaning if you got 9 cards, you heal 2 life cards, you can only heal 1 because you can only max out at 10 or whatever the leader number would be up here. That's assuming any other colors get a heal style type of thing. But that's just one thing that I mainly wanted to go over a little bit. Her enraged condition now is flip after resolving 3 spell cards from your hand. Now this is not in one turn, so this can happen over multiple turns. So when you, so say turn 1, you have enough to activate the guiding light spell card down here. You won't really be able to, like, you can activate it, but the effect won't do anything because you won't have creatures on the field at this point. It counts as activating 1 spell from your hand. So like you could do that over 3 turns. You can do it all in 1 turn. It doesn't matter as long as you activate 3 spells from your hand. You can flip her into her enrage mode. And then her enrage mode is Celestial Redeemer Angelica of Eternal Light. Her effect is all your creatures gain plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn when attacking. So one thing I wanted to go over that I didn't go over in the yellow deck down here is all leaders on normal side have 10,000 power, and all enraged modes have 15,000 power. So that is like, that's similar to how Dragon Ball Z card game is in that aspect. Same thing with doing in a normal and an enraged mode. So that's one aspect that I was using from Dragon Ball Z. And then the other aspect that I'm using for this card game from Vanguard is the drive check thing from the top of the deck, which I did go over a little bit in the yellow deck, but I didn't necessarily say, well, I did say the card name, but I didn't necessarily say that's what it was from, but it is what it's from, is from Card Fight Vanguard, is the drive check / attack checks is what I'm calling it right now. And then same thing with the number of copies. That's basically from majority of card games, is how many copies of cards you can have in a deck. And then you can have, you can only have 50 cards in the deck, no more, no less, and that's not including the leader or the energy cards. So let's continue on with this deck list again. So next we have 4 copies of Beacon Soldier. He is basically the yellow version of the what was it called? Stormfront Soldier, I believe it was called. Where he's a 2-drop, 10,000 power, no skill or no effect. Next card is we get 4 copies of Celestial Guardian. He has I can't tell if that's a he or a she. But it has, give me a second, my phone is ringing for some reason. All right, I'm back. She has a blocker. This is where blockers get introduced into the card game. This name is actually going to end up being changed, and the effect style is going to be changed as well. But blocker, this creature can intercept attacks. It's a 3-drop, 15,000 power. So basically, in order to activate its effect, it has to be in active mode. And then in order to use its skill, you have to tap it or exhaust it to have the attack go to this card. Again, I'm planning on changing that already as well as the name. Next card on the list is 3 copies of Luminescent Valkyrie. It's a 4-drop, 20,000 power with a skill of add 1 life to your life zone when this card is summoned. So I should have went over this a little bit when I was doing the leader card. So to add life to your life zone, you take the top card of your deck, leave it face down, and put it into your life zone. Now, yes, that's that's a possible chance for a quick deck out with this deck. So you got to learn how to manage that. Next is we get 4 copies of a vanilla unit, which is Holy Seraphuline. She is a 5-drop, no effect, 25,000 power. Next card on the list is 3 copies of Archangel of Purity. She's a 6-drop, 30,000 power, with an effect of destroying enemy creature with 20,000 power or less when summoned. Next card on the list is Radiant Agilite. She is a 2-drop, 5,000 power, gain 1 mana when summoned. And next card on the list is we get 4 copies of Holy Vanguard. I'm assuming that's a guy. At least that's what the description that I gave for the artwork was a description for the guy. 3-drop, 10,000 power, no skill. So basically a 3-drop version of this in a way. And then we get into our spell cards. We get 4 copies of Holy Restoration, which is a 2-drop. And this heals 2 life cards. Again, this is where I say if you're at 9 and then you activate this card, you only get to heal the 1 card instead of 2. Next card on the list is 4 copies of Divine Resonance. This is a draw card and heal 1 life. So this deck is a heal draw type of deck. So you got to kind of learn how to mitigate the drawing and the healing of cards. Next card on the list, we get 4 copies of Blessing of Light, 3-drop. This one's a trigger. This is the only trigger in the deck, which is surprising. I could have swore I put a second trigger type of card in the effect, but I guess I forgot. Add 1 mana and draw 2 cards. And then the trigger ability, activate this effect for free. Next card on the list, we get 3 copies of Angelic Wave, which is a 4-drop. Heal 1 life card and give all your creatures plus 5,000 power. Next card on the list is we get 4 copies of Guiding Light, which is a 1-drop, and it's add 5,000 power to a creature this turn. This is another one of those where it's like it's supposed to be one of your creatures this turn. And then next card on the list is we get 2 copies of Sanctuary Light. This is a 6-drop. Your leader cannot be targeted this turn. So this is an effect where it's supposed to be your leader cannot be targeted during your opponent's next turn. So that's what that is. So that's another errata that's happening for right now. Is this is supposed to be your leader cannot be targeted on your opponent's next turn. So like after you end your turn, after activating this, during that turn, your opponent cannot target your leader for attacking. And then last but not least on this deck, we get 3 copies of Radiant Nova. It's a 5-drop and it deals 15,000 damage to all enemy creatures. And then again, we get 10 energy / crystal cards. This number, at least for this version, this alpha version of the card game, this number, I was thinking of updating it, but I'm keeping it at 10 for now. So one thing that I will go over now that I've gotten both decks out of the way is the energy cards. You gain 1 energy each turn. So the player going first before they draw for their first turn, so let's combine these cards real quick and then flip it over to give you an idea and move it here since that's where it's supposed to be. So on your turn, so before you draw your card, you would pull 1 card out, add it to your energy zone. So now you have 1 energy. Your opponent would go and then do the same thing. Put the, so say like I'm using this deck and this is my first turn. I draw my card. Or I do my energy, I draw my card. I can't, if I don't have anything I can do right now, since I can't attack with my leader on my first turn, I can't do nothing else. So I would pass turn to my opponent. My opponent would go, add their energy, draw their card, do what they can. Their leader can't attack on their first turn either to keep it kind of even between the two first turns. And then on the second turn, I would, if I had anything rested, which in this scenario I didn't have anything rested, I would gain another mana, add it to my mana zone. Now I can probably start summoning things, so I would take both of those, exhaust them, summon like a beacon soldier if that's what I got in my hand or whatever. Now, that beacon soldier cannot attack on this turn because all creatures have a summoning sickness. The only card that can attack at this point would be the leader, so I would attack with my leader, which would basically be resting it, which I forgot that it changes those because I'm still targeting those. So I would rest my leader, attack, and then I would reveal the top card of my deck for like the trigger check or attack trigger check, basically. And then that card would go to my hand if there was no trigger or whatever. So one thing that I do also want to kind of mention is I plan on adding 16 triggers to a deck, similar to like how Vanguard has like the 16 triggers, basically. So like they have the draw trigger, heal trigger, so on and so forth. I want to add like 16 triggers with effects like that into the card game, meaning all cards in the main deck can have a trigger ability, and then how many number of copies of the card counts towards that total number of triggers. So like, say if I have 4 copies of Blessing of Light, that's 4 triggers out of the 16 that I already have in the deck. So that's something that I kind of want to implement after doing some play testing with this, just to give all decks kind of like a more evenly balanced thing. But I do feel that this yellow deck, God, that yellow deck, I do feel that the yellow deck is massively overpowered compared to 2 of the decks, especially the white deck. The black deck gives it kind of a run for its money, and then the blue deck just stalls the yellow deck out because of the effect of the blue card's leader. But you guys will see that because I'm going to do a series where each color faces the other color at least once, just so you guys can get an idea of how the decks play against each other. And we're going to start with the first 2 colors that I did make in general, which was the yellow deck and the white deck. White decks is all about healing, gaining cards in your hand, and having all the cards that you can possibly have at your disposal, while yellow is like lightning based creatures and swarming the field, getting extra mana, and just trying to get mass attacks in as quick as possible. Blue is like a mixture of all of those, and black is just destroying cards, using the destroyed cards as an advantage for yourself in some sort of way. But anyways, let's get enough of that and get on with the deck. And I will see you guys after I've set up the field. All right, here we go. We are set up for the battle already of white versus yellow. Let me flip this over to the normal mode real quick. So I've already shuffled both decks. One thing I do kind of want to go over is the yellow cards were the first cards I put in here. So it has a different style back, which was the original way of putting the cards into Tabletop Simulator, where you would put the back of the card at the last card slot of the list, and then these cards would just get added as they are, but it didn't do that. It just created this as the card back. So I had to go and individually add the cards into the card game before I can give the cards a card back, which was how I got the Force of Chaos card backs onto these. This was like the last, even though I don't think I've mentioned it in any of my old card game videos, this was the last card game name that I came up with. So I'm just using the card back for it for right now. This card game just honestly does not have its own video yet. And since it's my turn, I'm going to go back to my camera 2. I have a camera for both sides of the play zone since I have to play both sides myself. So you're going to see a lot of switching between cameras and what hand is in my hand, just so I can keep things as smooth as possible. It's going to be hard because I'm going to have to do a lot of editing on this video to make it look good. But anyways, we're going to start, and we're going to draw 5 cards. So each player will start with 5 cards in their deck. I'm going to put these 3 back, and then I'm going to draw 3 more. And that should be good. And then I'm going to take these and put them on the deck, and then I'm going to shuffle. I usually do hit shuffle 5 times to make sure it gets a good shuffle, although I don't think it really matters. So we're stuck with this hand no matter what now. So now I will see you guys on the yellow side for doing the... Actually, no, I'll do one thing to set up. So since I don't know how to keep the cards face down when I do this, so what I like to do is I like to take the 10 cards, or however many cards it is that the leader has for the health. So at the top number is how many health cards. So I got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what I like to do is get all 10, or however many cards it is, face down from the top of the deck. Turn them sideways like they're rested or exhausted. Place them down here. The reason why I placed them down at the lower part is because when I left or right click on them and then hit spread, it puts them face up, which I don't like. I don't know how to do it with it keeping them face down. So then I'll select all of them and then hit F to flip them. So the cards will look like that. So whenever you're done and you take your damage, it takes it from the top downwards, basically. And in order, you have to find a way to keep track of that, which in order to do that, I will do this right now. We're going to go to components, dice. Let's do plastic. Let's go with a D10 dice. Add that. Let's add 2 of those and be done. I don't know how to set it exactly. Actually, let's actually delete these because I don't think that'll work very well. So let's go back to objects, components, tools. Let's do a counter for each. Let's go a counter here and a counter here, and then flip this counter around. So bump it up to 8 because that's what it's supposed to have, and this is supposed to have 10. This is just so you can keep track of how many cards you're losing for your life. So now that I've drawn my 5 cards, got my life done, I'm going to see you guys on the yellow side. All right, here we are on the yellow side again. As I mentioned a little bit, this has a different card back than the other games because how I was trying to implement or input the deck into the game, which is the original way. But the fact that I can do a single card now and just do a face in the back, I'm going to do it that way from now on, and just copy paste the card. Because for some reason it didn't work the way that it used to work, so now I'm stuck with that as the card back until I go and redo these cards the same way I did these other ones. So only the yellow deck is like that. All the other decks have the Force of Chaos backs. So now, again, I've already shuffled the deck. We get 8 life cards due to Akuma's life number. So first off, I'm going to draw 5. We're going to look at the 5 cards. We're going to put that back because it's a high cost. That back because it's a high cost. And I think we're good with that. And then we'll draw 2 more cards. And then we will place these back. Give it a good shuffle. Where's the shuffle at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I like to do 5. And then like I did with the deck up here, I'm actually going to move this up 1. Because the mana cards do go all the way across. So, and this is supposed to be the deck zone and drop zone. So up here will be the deck zone and this one will be the drop zone. And this is supposed to eventually will get extended. So now that we are done with that, we'll go back to the white side. Or actually what I will do is I will take this dice and I'm going to throw it on each side to see who goes first. So yellow threw a 6, and then I'm going to go up here for the white. That's gonna go off the table. White rolled a 2. All right, so now that means yellow goes first. So for start of turn, again, we're gonna go set up our life real quick. Should be 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, flip it, place it down here. spread these and then reflip them back. And let me reset up my camera to match it because every time I hit the right click, it likes to go off track a little bit. All right, so start a turn. We go 1 mana. I can activate this if I wanted to, but there's no point since I don't have no creatures. I can't attack this turn with my leader, and I can't summon anything or activate any spells. Well, I can activate a spell, but as I said, can't really do anything, so I would end my turn. So now it goes to White's turn, which I will see you guys on the white side in a sec. All right, here we are for the white side turn. We are going to, you know what I forgot to do on yellow? So what I'm going to do on yellow is I'm going to take 1 card from the top of the deck and add it over there because I forgot to do that. So we're going to get our mana card or our energy card. We're going to look to see we can't do anything, and then we're going to draw. We're supposed to draw first. Just keep that in mind. Supposed to draw first and then look to see if we do anything. We can't do anything, but we also cannot attack on our first turn with our leader. So we now have to pass the turn over to yellow, and I will see you guys on the yellow side. That card came into our thing face down. All right, so start a turn. We didn't have anything exhausted or rested, so we take 1 more energy card, add it to our energy pile, so that now gives 2. Now, as you guys saw, what we drew was what we had in our hand was this mana source card. Now, if you guys remember how I went over it, since I don't have another one in my hand, it won't work in this type of thing. But this card did get a bit of an errata where you can only use mana surge once per turn, and that's any color mana surge. Because as I said, any color can have a mana surge card. Blue does have one of their own, but white and black do not have their own mana surge yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exhaust both of those. We're going to activate mana surge. So every card has to get, whether it's a spell or creature gets activated, it gets placed into the big ass rectangle here for activation. So now I can add 2 more mana to my mana zone. So that gives me 1, 2, and then this goes into the discard pile. So now that I got 2 more, I can exhaust it and get another creature on the field. So now this is where I'm going to explain the field zone, the play area a little bit. So you can only have up to 5 creatures in your play area at a time. In order to get any more than that, you would have to choose to retire one of your creatures and then summon the other creature. Now, when creatures are summoned into the play area or battle zone, whatever you want to call it, they cannot attack on the turn that they are summoned unless there's an effect that gives them an ability to attack on the first turn they are summoned. So since this one doesn't have an effect like that, all it is I get to add an additional mana when summoned. So that gives me a 5th mana card already. And since I can do Bolt Infusion, this card, again, it can technically be used to put onto your leader, but I don't need to use it right now. So now that it is the 2nd turn, now I'm able to attack with my leader card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exhaust my leader card to attack their leader card. And since they have the same power, the attack will go through no matter what. Now, if you read the effect, the first part of the effect for Akuma is when this card attacks, add 1 mana to your mana zone. So I can add another mana to my mana zone. Now, remember how I said I think this deck is almost overpowered for what it should be. This is what I meant by this deck is overpowered than it should be, because I have 6 mana now compared to 1 mana over here with the white deck. So now we are So now that we have attacked with our leader to their leader, or to the white leader, so what you do is, since this attacks and it gets a attack check, which you check the top card of your deck, you have to reveal that card to your opponent, and then that card gets added to your hand. It's like a drive check in a way. So you take the top card, you flip it, you let go so it gets put on the field so your opponent can see it. So this has a trigger effect, which is activate this effect for free. This deals 15,000 damage to an enemy creature. There is no enemy creature on the field. I do feel like this should be against leaders as well, but I'm not going to do that for this specific game or any game in this specific series, just to showcase all 4 decks. So now that, since I can't activate the trigger, and you can choose to activate the trigger if you want to or not, eventually I might make it to where the trigger has to get activated no matter what. But if there's no creatures, can't really do the effect. But we're going to go with, you don't have to, you add this card to your hand. Now, if the trigger effect were to have happened, then we put it in our discard pile here. So since I can do another thing for this turn, but I only have 2 cards with the same effect, and I can't attack with this creature yet, so there's no point for me to give that creature anything. This creature is basically a throwaway creature anyways, because of the 5,000 power. I only used it for its effect, which was to give me an extra mana, and then we got an extra mana from the attack of Akuma here. So that is the end of yellow's turn, and now we are going to go to white, and I will see you guys on the white side. All right, here we are on the white side. We what I forgot to do from the attack, but which is this is how I would show it anyways, is I'm going to go like this. We're going to go like this, which reveals the top card to the opponent and to us. So since this is nothing, this actually gets placed into the trash zone instead of going to your hand. Originally, I was thinking of going to the hand, but it gives every deck like an oversized hand, and that's just not how I feel like that's not how it is, because then you get just a hand where you get a bunch of cards where you can't use stuff sometimes. So that is that, and then we go down to 9 life. And so now it is my turn. I didn't have anything rested, or it's white turns. White didn't have anything rested, so we can't unrest anything. So now we just get our extra energy. So now we're at 2. Then we draw a card. What can I do here? So I can get 1 creature myself. This would only heal 1 life. So let's go 2-drop. And let's get this on the field. And then it gives us an extra mana source. So I can't do anything else just yet, but I can attack with my leader now. And then once per turn, I may pay 1 mana to heal 1 life card. I'm going to attack with the leader. Then I'm going to activate the mana card. I'm going to take the top card of my deck, turn it sideways, and put it over here into my life zone. So now my life zone goes back up to 10. And with the effect, or with the attack of my leader against their leader, I can check the top card of the deck for an attack trigger check. Flip the card, let it go, so the opponent can see it. There's no trigger. This card then goes to my hand. And I can't attack with this card this turn because of Summoning Sickness. And since I have nothing else that I can do this turn, I will end the turn, and I will see you guys on the yellow side. All right, here we are on the yellow side. We are going to unrest. Whoop, I keep forgetting to do this because I keep clicking all those, and when you do that and then click on another card and do it, it turns the other ones. So I do that, and I give myself an extra mana for the turn. So now we are at 7 mana. This creature can now attack this turn. This also gives me an ability, or a way to explain how attacking leaders will work throughout the game. And because I forgot to do it for my turn, I'll do it before I did the turn. I'll do it now. I'll flip this for damage that I took from the other leader. There was nothing. This puts me down to 7. All right. So I have 7 energy. I did not draw yet, did I? I'm going to draw because I don't remember if I drew. So I draw for turn. I've already placed my mana and I draw for turn. So what I can do now is... That's going to be a pain in the butt. So what I'll do is I will activate 3, not 4, 3. I'll rest 3, and then I'll activate Static Charge, which gives me 2 cards. Static Charge then goes to the discard pile or trash zone. Then what I'm going to do now is I would do this, but it would destroy this card. And then, but I want to keep it on the field so I can explain some battle effects or how the battle kind of goes. So now I will rest this card, and then I will rest these 2, and then I will bring out a Skybolt Knight. Now, keep in mind, Skybolt Knight can't attack this turn because of Summoning Sickness. This creature can attack now, but it can't hit the leader card, so that's unfortunate. And we can't attack this card because it's not rested. And this is another thing that I want to explain. If you had creatures that can attack this turn and they had enough power to hit the leader, you can directly attack the leader at this point because this card's not rested. If your opponent had, let's just say if this card was rested, you would then have to use your creatures to attack the rested card before you can attack the leader. The only time I'm thinking of changing this to the only time that you can attack a leader directly is leader to leader, but there are times where you would want to get rid of certain cards that are rested before you attack your leader anyways. So that's kind of just a thing that I wanted to go over a little bit. So say if I had both of these creatures able to attack and then this creature was in rested mode, I would use my Overcharge Elemental to attack the Radiant Acolyte here. Now, since they have both power, the defending creature is the one that gets destroyed. So Overcharge Elemental would stay on the field while Radiant Acolyte would then go to the opponent's drop. And then I can go and proceed to attack directly to my opponent with any other creature. But since I can't attack directly with my Overcharge Elemental, this is just to showcase some effects and whatnot and skills and how the gameplay proceeds. I can't really do anything against my opponent's leader with this card. This card can't attack, so again, I'm stuck with just my leader, and my leader can attack again. I'll attack with him. He gives me an extra mana source, so that gives me 2 mana now. And then because of the attack directly, and you can't really guard against these attacks, the opponent has nothing but to take it. Now, we do our trigger check just to see if we get any triggers. There's nothing there, and then this card gets added to our hand. And now it's the end of my turn, or close to the end of my turn. I can choose to activate any other things to finish out the turn. So what I'll do is I will snatch up these 2, and then I will summon a Stormfront Raider, and then I will pass turn to white, and I will see you guys on the white side. All right, here we are on the white side. We just got done being attacked by the opponent. So now before I do my turn, I will flip the card for damage. There was nothing, so this card goes into the trash, and then I lose 1 life. Now what I'll do is unexhaust, or reactivate in this case those, and then I will draw for my turn. And what I did forget to do, by the way, is mana before draw, so we'll get the mana. So I can heal 2 life cards, which I can only do 1 since I only have 9 life. I can summon about 2 creatures right now, or I can summon 1 big creature, or I can deal 15,000. Actually, no, I can't do that because I only have 4. Let's go with a let's go with one. Let's go 1/2 drop. Get me another Radiant Acolyte on the field, which gives me another mana source. And then I will 3 drop for a Celestial Guardian. Now, since my Radiant Acolyte can't attack theirs because it's not rested, because they couldn't do anything against my leader, I can't attack with mine yet. So again, it's leader versus leader at this point. And the effect is once per turn, I can heal 1 life card, but I've already exhausted all of my mana, so I'm just going to attack directly. And with the attack check, I get nothing, and this card gets added to my hand. And then I will proceed on to the yellow side for this part. All right, here we are on the yellow side to take our second damage of the day. We get a trigger effect, which this activates this effect for free. Deal 15,000 damage to an enemy creature. I can choose, and I'm going to choose their blocker, so that blocker then goes to the drop zone because it went from 15 to 0. So they are stuck with just 2 5,000 powers that didn't attack, so I can still go straight for the leader card on my next, or on this turn. Keep messing up my cameras. All right, so since the trigger effect activated, and normally this card would go to the drop zone anyways, it still goes to the drop zone. And then I drop to 6 life. And now it's my turn, so I reactivate everything. And then I gain 1 mana card for turn, which leaves me with 1 left in the deck, or in the mana zone deck. And then I draw my card. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a 5 drop for this spell card. So we're going to go 4 and 5. And we're going to activate Raging Stormfront, which all the creatures in my play zone get 10,000 power, and this is one of the cards that technically should include the leader. So I'm going to do that for this. So the leader's now 20,000. This is 15. This is 20,000, and this is 20,000. And now, because I did summon this on the last turn, both of these creatures can now attack. So all 4, I have 4 attacks this turn, and I do have 3 mana left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not activate anything else this turn. I'm just gonna save it, and then we're gonna start attacking with our creatures. So we're gonna start with Overcharge Elemental directly, and then we go over to, let's go over to the white side for all these attacks. So here we are on the light side for all these attacks that are coming through. Overcharge Elemental did an attack, so we flip it. This does nothing, so it goes to the drop. Then we're going to attack with Skybolt Knight. Flip. No trigger. This goes to the drop. So that's -2 already. That puts us at 7 life. And we're going to attack with Stormfront Raider, which is another attack. Again, this does nothing for us. It's just because there's no trigger effect and they go to the trash anyways. So that puts us at 6. And then the leader attacks, which gives yellow that last mana card. And again, the leader also gets a check, which no triggers. So, but this goes to the hand over here, which is the hand that we're still viewing because we're still technically yellow. And that reveals the next card in the life. Again, no triggers, so it goes to the drop, and that puts us down to 5. So now with that being done, I can still technically do some more plays with yellow, but I'm going to choose not to since these 2 cards can't really attack except for attacking Overcharge Elemental here. But that's besides the point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end my turn, and I will see you guys right back here again on the light side. All right, here we are for the light side turn. We're going to reactivate everything. Wrong way for those. Move this a little closer. For turn, we get an extra mana, and then we draw. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate, or I'm going to exhaust 2 cards, and then I'm going to heal 2 life cards. So that puts us from 5 to 6. And 6 to 7. And this goes to the drop. That gives me 4 cards for the next attack, or for the next card. So I'm going to do all 4 of them this time around. I'm going to exhaust them, and we're going to get Luminescent Valkyrie on the field, which adds another life to my life card zone. So see, now this is the deck that I thought was going to be kind of overpowered, but it turns out that this yellow deck is still technically the more overpowered one in my opinion, which is why I said the yellow deck technically doesn't even need to go into enraged mode to win a game. But since I made those couple changes for Aretas to certain card effects, it kind of, so far it feels like it's changed a little bit. And some of the changes that I made from me playtesting earlier to now, some changes seem to make things a little bit easier, because normally white would not have this field presence. But anyways, I can't really do anything else with anything else in my hand. So, and I got 2 creatures here that I can attack with. I wish I had more stuff that I can do, but I can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack the Overcharge Elemental directly, since I have to, and this card can't hit anything else, unfortunately. I probably should have activated another skill that gives or that deals damage instead of the heal life cards, but it's okay. I just wanted to showcase some of the things of both decks anyways. But flipping over here, that means that this card gets destroyed and goes to the thing. Now, this is another thing where I can kind of go over what I was talking about earlier. Since these 2 cards are rested, and if this card had enough power and this card was able to attack, I would have to attack both of these, assuming I had another creature to attack within the creature zone before attacking the leader. But right now it's just, you have to use creatures to get rid of creatures before you can attack the leader with creatures. And the only other time a leader can be targeted with rested or exhausted creatures is a leader versus leader attack. So we're going to stick with that for at least this series, and then when we do another series of it where I update the cards with the errata and change a couple things about the rules, then we'll see how well everything does to each other. And then I do have to add some trigger effects to certain ones as well. So now we're just going to go attack directly leader to leader. And we check our top card. We get a trigger effect. This is add 1 mana and draw 2 cards. And the trigger effect is this effect activates for free. And because it's a trigger effect and we're choosing to activate it at this time, this now, instead of going to your hand, goes to the drop. And then we get an extra mana. And then we draw 2 cards. And we only have 1 mana, which I can't really utilize it this turn. I'm going to end my turn and pass it to yellow, and we will see you guys on the yellow side. All right, here we are on the yellow side. We have all of our manas in play now, so we're going to reactivate all of our mana, reactivate all of our cards. And since I have no mana or energy to bring out, I just proceed to drawing my card for turn. And we're going to go... I wish I could showcase the enrage mode for this deck, but I feel like it's not going to go into enrage mode yet. Probably not even this game. We'll see though. One thing I did forget to do, even though I've already drawn for the turn, is I do need to flip this. And this goes over here, and this drops me down to 5. That's one thing I did forget to do. So before I continue on further. All right. So... all right, just to showcase a certain card effect here, we're going to do a 6 bomb drop, and we're going to bring in Storm Herald Zane. His ability is destroy an enemy creature with 20,000 or less power when summoned. And that means I can do any of these if I wanted to, but instead of choosing Radiant Acolyte, I'm going to choose their 20,000 power Luminescent Valkyrie, which then goes into their trap zone because that's 20,000 power exactly. So that goes into the drop zone. And like I said, the damage is concurrent in these games. Oops, camera effect styles again. Since the damage is current in these for turns, even though when the turn ends, all cards damage go back to normal. It's just the damage is concurrent for that specific battle. This card now can't attack because it was summoned this turn. These 2 cards can attack, and then my leader can still attack. I have 4 more cards that I can play with. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a 3-drop. And then we're going to activate Thunderous Strike, which does 15,000 damage to all enemy creatures. This technically would include the leader, so the leader would lose 15,000 damage, meaning it drops to 0, but the leader can't get destroyed, but the leader does technically have 0 now. These 2 only have 5,000, so they both get dropped down to 0, and meaning they would both get destroyed. And with that, that means I don't have to attack any rested creatures first. I have a direct line to the leader, the opposing leader, and then I have 1 mana left, which I could use to give 5,000 power to another creature, which I don't need to because their leader is technically 0 attack. So first off, I'm going to attack with Stormfront Raider, and then I'm going to switch over to the light side just for the damage part of this. So flip, nothing, draws to 8, and then I can attack with Skybolt Knight. Again, flip, nothing, goes to that, and then I can attack with Leader. Since I don't have no energy, the first effect of the Leader does not activate. And I check the top card of the deck. There's no trigger there. Why do I feel like that's lower than it should be? This isn't adding up. I'm gonna do something real quick just to see how many cards I have for sure. So there's 6 there. Let's put all these back to the bottom, because when I do the spread, it does that, and then I have to reflip everything. All right, so we're at 6, and now we do the check for the attack of the leader. That does nothing. That puts me down to 5. And because there's nothing else that yellow can do, we're going to go back to the yellow side. This goes into the yellow hand. And since this creature can't attack, there's nothing else I can do. So I will see you guys on the white side. All right, here we are on the white side. We're going to reactivate the mana, reactivate her for turn, give ourselves an extra mana, and then draw for turn. So what I will do based on what's in my hand, I'm going to do a full 6 drop, and we're going to get Celestial Guardian, double Celestial Guardian on the field. And I got 2 left, and I'm going to go 2 drop, and we're going to activate Holy Restoration, which gives us 2 more health. So that's 6, 7, and these can't attack, but these are rested. But again, we only have our leader that can attack, so our leader can attack the other leader directly, so we're going to do that. We don't have any cards rested to add more life, so we're going to take the top card, check. No specific trigger or anything. This just goes to the hand, and then we'll switch over to the yellow side for the damage. Flip the card, nothing. It goes into that, down to 4 life for the yellow deck, or in this case, yellow player. So now I will switch hands. All right, here we are back on the yellow side. We're going to reactivate all of our mana and our creatures. And since we don't have no mana to receive, we can draw a card. God, this this is just gonna be so mean to the white player here as well. We're gonna 3 drop. We're gonna activate Thunderous Strike. Choose whichever one. It goes into the drop. This goes into that. I still got 7 mana that I can play with. And all my creatures can attack the leader too now. Let's do a 1, 5, and 6. Let's get another Storm Herald Zane on the field. Destroy an enemy creature with 20,000 power or less, saying goodbye to the blockers. So now he can't attack, but I can attack with all 4 of these now. So I'm going to start off with an attack directly from the leader. Again, the first effect does not activate, meaning I check the top card, No trigger on this one. So it goes to the hand. That card is useless to me now. And then I'm going to switch to the light white deck real quick just to do the damage portion. So that does nothing. It drops to 6. We're going to attack with Zane number 1. Drops to 5. We're going to attack again. Drops to 4. Whoops. And then we have one more attack. No triggers on anything, and that drops us to 3. So now it's going to be the white side turns, and I will see you on back here again on the white side after we get to where we can view the white side hand. All right, here we are on the white side. We're going to reactivate everything. We're going to draw. Actually, we're not going to draw. We're going to get our energy first. Now, you see what I mean by I have to move those the deck and the discard pile up for the energy because this goes all the way over here. Then I will draw for turn. So I have one more card to activate before I can flip my leader card for the white deck. So I'm going to do a 4-drop. And we're going to activate Angelic Wave, which gives me 1 life card. Puts me up to 4. And then all of my creatures, this should technically include the leader at this point. 5,000 power. So that is now from hand spell card number 3, meaning I can now met the requirements to flip after resolving 3 spells from your hand. So now we say goodbye to Radiant Savior Hikari Angelica, and we get her enraged form, Celestial Redeemer Angelica of Eternal Light. Now, she does have 10 on here. No, that does not heal you all the way back up to 10. You keep your current life count as is. It's just how the card front was made, so I just kept a number there. Now, her effect is all your creatures gain plus 5,000 power until the end of your turn when attacking. And because I activated the Angelic Wave, she also gets plus 5,000 power. So she's at 20,000 power for this turn. And that gives me 5 energy to mess with as well. So I'm thinking we're going to activate all 5 of those. Literally all 5 of those. Give me a second. All right, sorry about that, guys. So we're going to activate all 5 of those, and we're going to activate Radiant Nova, which deals 15,000 damage to all enemy creatures. So that puts both Zanes down to 15, and that means both Skybolt Knight and Stormfront Raider are now at 0, so they go to the drop. And then this goes to the drop from activation. Again, if I had other creatures that could attack, I would have to attack this Storm Herald Zane first. But since I don't, and it's a leader, I can attack leader directly, which is unfortunate because I would love to go into the enrage mode for this leader as well, but we're getting to the point to where it's not going to matter. So we're going to attack with our enraged leader, and she gains another 5,000 for attacking. So she is now at 25,000, but it's not really going to matter. I did plan on including like guarding type restrictions with cards, or like a guarding number on the side of the of a creature card somewhere, but I didn't do it yet, and I don't know if I should, because I feel like it would just make the game go by too fast or too slow, although this is a pretty long game as it is. But since our leader attacked, we're going to flip the card. There's no trigger, but the card does go to our hand, and then we flip over to the yellow side to receive the damage. There's no damage, but it goes to the drop zone. And since white can't do anything else because it has exhausted all energy, we are going to come back to yellow. All right, here we are on the yellow side. So we are going to reactivate all of our exhausted whatever. Anything that was exhausted this turn. And then again, though, there's no mana, so we just go directly into the draw. There's no point for this add mana card anymore. We are going to... Man, there's just nothing I could do here. I mean, there's stuff I could do, but I can't attack with anything. We're going to do a 4-drop to get Lightning Avatar Kira out on the field. There's no point for the power yet. And then we're going to do a 3-drop. And then we're going to get a Thunderclap Guardian on the field. So now I got 2 creatures that can't attack yet, but there's nothing I can do at this point in time with that. So we are going to start with an attack from our leader. Flip a card. No triggers. And then we go to the white side here to do the damage checking. Nothing. That drops down to 3. Zane can attack. Flip, no trigger. And Zane number 2 can attack. Flip, no trigger. So we are now down to 1 life. Now, in order for yellow to win the game, they would have to take away that 1 life and then attack again directly to win the game. So all in all, I technically get 11 life in this. And since yellow can't attack with these 2, and there's really nothing else I can do with anything in yellow's hands or in the yellow hand. Yes, you have 2 versions. You have the one that normally I wouldn't be able to see, but since I am using yellow right now, I would be able to see this specific hand right here. So in order to show that, we'll go down here how white's hand is not visible to me at all right now because I'm on the yellow side. So I will see you guys back here on the white side. All right, here we are on the white side. We will unexhaust everything. And we are getting to the point where both decks now have all 10 mana available. And I will draw for turn. All right, let's see what I can do here. So we got 5-drop with that. 6-drop with that. So what I'm going to do, because of the errata for this 6-drop card right here that I did earlier when in the things, I'm going to do a 6-drop. We're going to activate Sanctuary of Light, meaning our leader cannot be targeted by attacks from our opponent next turn. And that leaves us 4 mana to play with. I'm going to activate... This is a pain in the butt here. Let's do 3. And let's bring out an attacker. Can't do anything because of summoning sickness yet. but the fact that I can go with my leader, I can not focus on these. I will go leader directly and gain an extra 5,000, so that's 20,000 to the 10,000. Check for a trigger. There's nothing in the trigger that gets added to the hand. We go to the yellow side for damage, which this should technically be 3 damage right now. That does nothing for me. That's down to 2. And I can't do anything else with the white deck, so I will see you guys again when I can view the yellow deck hand. All right, here we are on the yellow deck side. Unfortunately, with the spell that white activated last turn, I cannot attack white this turn in general. But that doesn't mean that I can't do anything these plays. I don't have mana, so I can draw for turn. So it sucks because now technically the life cards for Akuma don't come into play for the enraged ability. I might have to change the enraged thing to it just so I can get it into enraged mode. Because so far every other deck has gone into enraged mode against this deck, while this one technically didn't really need to. I've only ever gone to enraged twice, and that was against a black deck. Alrighty, so because of that skill and the fact that I can't really do anything and I got one more creature slot that I can feel. So this is another thing I don't think I really talked about earlier is the attack zone. You can only have up to 5 creatures who can attack in the attack/battle area. So that's 6 attacks that you get all together. You get 5 creatures and then your leader that can attack. Trying to decide what to do here because there's really only one slot that I can do. Is this a 10,000 creature? Yes, it is. We're going to do a 4-drop. Whoops. Oh, whoops. Hold on a second. I keep messing up with the camera buttons real quick. So we're going to do the 4-drop, and we're going to activate Charge Barrage, which deals 10,000 damage to all enemy creatures. This creature had 10,000 damage, so it go bye-bye. And I think this is about to be the game, so what I will do is I will leader attack first. I get a trigger. Oh, destroy 1 enemy creature when revealed. There's no creatures, so this, and I choose not to activate it because there's no creatures, so it goes to the hand. This deals 1 damage. There is no damage there, so that drops her to 0. And to win the game, I attack with Zern directly, and that is the game for yellow versus white. Now, this is the longest that white has ever lasted against yellow, because yellow, with like the alpha rules that weren't changed, yellow would just dominate the crap out of white. And with the alpha rules, it was whether or not cards were rested, you can attack the leader directly or choose to attack those cards. And yellow would just, even with some of the rested cards, because of how fast you could summon with yellow, you could just overwhelm white so much, and the healing wouldn't even help. Obviously, the healing didn't help here, but it gave white a more of a standing ground against yellow. So now you guys can see why I said I feel like yellow is too overpowered at this point, even for an alpha deck. And it doesn't need to be in enraged mode to even win so far. So that is a showcase of white versus yellow. So the next game mode, or the next game that will most likely be going up, will be white versus black. And then after that, it'll be white versus blue. And then we will go back to where it's yellow versus black, yellow versus blue. So every deck will face each other at least once, just to show you guys how they stack up against each other. And then also I do want to ask anybody in the comment section if they feel like helping me out with alpha/beta play testing for these, because I do plan on making a lot of changes to the cards already, but I still want to get some other minds' feedbacks for play testing and to be able to come up with something. Also, with the power portion and the cost portion, I'm changing it no matter what. It's not going to be just the cost. It's going to be a rank and then a cost. So the rank is you're going to have a rank of a card that is how much energy you need in your energy zone to be able to summon that card, and then you have the cost, which is how much energy you need to summon the card. And then I'm thinking of changing the power from one big power as it is to kind of like a magic style number where you have an attack point and then a defensive or hit point. But right now I'm calling it AP and DP for short, which is attack point and defense point. And I'm thinking of doing it just a single digit number, and the max that a creature can have, or a character, I might change the name to character, is 9. You can't go above 9 and you can't go below 0, but you can have anywhere from 0 to 9 is what I'm thinking of doing, because I want to make it, how you say, even in a way. And then I'm thinking of also, say for the leader card, bringing it over here more, and then doing instead of doing however many numbers that the card leader had, or what the number that the card leader has up top is how much life you have, giving a set life limit, and then still have this zone over here for like a guardian type of card that has a defensive, that has 0 attack points, but a certain set a number of defense points that gets added on to the specific life at that point, is what I'm thinking. And we'll see where things go from here. But again, I do want some people to come help me with play testing, whether it's against other people or playing against me, and then give me thoughts, feedback, ideas. But no matter what, the next iteration of this game is going to feature a rank system along with the cost system, and then effects are going to get changed up a little bit to match and reflect those ranks and costs and whatnot. And we'll do the we'll keep the single power as is for that next iteration, but I feel like going either way. I feel like going to 2 single digit numbers and an AP and a DP is going to be the best result for this specific card game. And then I'm also thinking of changing the card fronts a little bit to be more full art per se, but we'll see how that goes as well. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video where we will do white versus black, and catch y'all in the next one.